anyone that was involved in the industry in 2012 will know that was an exciting time. Most of the beers were terrible, but we still drank it and we just said, this is craft beer, it's awesome, and like how excited people get about Bitcoin, it was like more exciting than that. Event organizer's job is literally just you plan as much as you can to a point, and then after that, you just solve problems.
Today we are visiting Pretoria, Tshwane, the capital, home to Capital Craft Beer Academy and the biggest craft beer festival in the country. My name is Holger Meyer, and this is Beer World. Johan Auriacombe.
Yes.
Say dit vir my in Frans.
Auriacombe.
Johan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're one of the big hitters in the craft beer industry, so it's a real privilege to have you here, and one of the big hitters that doesn't think he's a big hitter.
There's so many different sports in this industry, maybe in one of them we're hitting something.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, where you grew up and where did you get that funny surname?
So I was born in France. My mother's Afrikaans boertjie, and my dad was working in South Africa for a telecommunications company from France called Alcatel. So they met, they fell in love, and I'm the result of that. There's also another sibling. There's two of us. So anyway, I grew up in France. We lived there. Between there, we even lived in Morocco. I did grade 1. I did in China, communist China. We still have some Chinese furniture. When I open the cupboard, it smells still like China. You get those memories. But anyway, and then we moved back to South Africa in 1991.
As a family? As
a family, my dad still lived abroad. He was working in the 90s. He was working mostly all over Africa. So he was all over the place. And then my mother is a professor. So in public administration, so she ended up, she was at UNISA, she did a doctorate. She actually did won the Chancellor's Prize. So but they say the brain skips a generation. So my kids are pretty clever, I guess. I think I was very privileged that I was able to travel from a young age and see different things. For me, for instance, let's say from a young age, I was already used to seeing many different beers and things. It was always for me very weird that there wasn't so many. And always from a young age, I always wanted to have a bar, and my idea was always that the bar will have other beer. And so I guess in the end you go full circle like 2-3 times, and then you end up having that bar with the beer,
So now I can't ask you how you find a passion for beer, because it sounds like it was at a very young age.
We grew up watching Simpsons,
Yeah. Okay. So and then you did the Boys Eye and Tucky's thing, hey?
Yes, I went to Boys Eye, and then I went to Tux. I studied business management, but I was never really into varsity. I was into playing drums, and music was everything I loved. But my mother always said, she's like, no, you're going to finish this freaking degree. You're doing this. I've put up with you quite a while now. You're finishing this thing. And I must say, the one thing she always said, I'm going to teach you in Afrikaans, is called uithouvermoë.
Yeah, tenacity.
Tenacity. And she always said, I'm going to force you to finish this. And then in the end, I finished it. And it really did teach me that, it was the first time in my life that I had to finish something that I did not like, and you just had to finish it. And it opened up like a whole, it blew my mind, man. And after that, like life has actually been easy, nothing is effort anymore. It's great. So.
Yeah, I can see that. With you, everything looks easy. Why is that?
I think it's because, we've come from, obviously, from music. So I was playing in a lot of bands. I had a band, Kid of Doom. We used to play a lot of shows like Oppie and Ramfest, and and then being like a student in varsity, and you're like playing on the main stage of Oppie. It's quite a cool gig, And then after varsity, it was like, okay, now I've got to go find a job. And then I had this friend, Dominique, Gavlovsky from Cape Town. She was the manager for a band, Lark. And she was like, she wants to start a business. And I was like, well, I also want to start a business. Let's start a business together. And then we started this business, Griet. It was first like a band management business. We were managing a lot of bands. Like we did the first tours for Astro Electric and Lark and Isochronous, and Kid of Doom was on there, and a few shows for Wrestlerish, a whole bunch of bands. Then we started doing festivals, and then we started liking doing festivals. And then my primary thing became eventing. We're doing festivals, working on festivals, organizing. We had a festival, Griet Fest, where we'd literally, it was in Newtown, we'd close the streets, and it was like an insane festival. And we were like 25-year-old kids organizing these festivals.
And how did you pull that off? Was it just ignorance, or was it because you got some special skill?
I think it was ignorance, but I think we were fast learners as well.
Okay.
And there was a whole bunch of us, that were crazy enough, and together it balanced. And then actually from eventing, that's where the craft beer thing came for me, because then I was invited to come work on the first Josie Craft Beer Festival at Pirates Club in Johannesburg in 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. These early festivals were good, eh?
This was a crazy festival. I reflect back on it quite often, because it was Jason Cedarwall, who a lot of us know as a legend. He was a very big mover in the beginning of the industry.
Yeah.
And he approached Blaze and Elaine, and Blaze and Elaine we were all colleagues together in eventing and stuff. And he wanted to do a beer festival. I think by that time there had only been one Clarence Beer Fest, and also one, I think, Cape Town Festival of Beer maybe. But it was, for everyone, it was a foreign language for all of us. All of us were like, it just happened. And then that festival, it was actually so badly organized, because it was the first time ever something like that. So, I remember the Brewers. There was Clarence was there, Boston was there, Mitchell's was there, Cockpit was there, the Chameleon was there, Drayman's was there. So many were there, but there was only one of the Brewers actually had a stand, and it was Mitchell's. Everyone else had like these cheap gazebos that they quickly bought on special at Game or wherever, and they were like decanting out of bottles that don't have labels on them, and and everyone, I remember after that fest, everyone was so tired because it was just queues the whole day, and the festival was sold out, and people started jumping over the fence to get in. And I remember like a lot of the brewers, their knuckles were like bleeding from all the bottles they had to open that day.
Wow, those are wonderful memories, eh?
That was good.
Do you still have contact with Jason?
I still have. Me and Jason, we talk maybe like twice a year. We send each other like a message. I think it'll be me sending him like, "Hey motherfucker, how you doing?" And he's got awesome stuff always going on. His restaurants in Joburg are great, and he's got such a good palate that whenever you go to something that he's involved in, it's always excellent.
Okay, I didn't realize he had restaurants.
And then at that, what's it called? Coalition.
Okay. Yeah.
Then at that festival, I actually met Natalie from Clarence Beer Festival, and then she actually invited me to Clarence Craft Beer Festival to come help as a project manager in 2013. Yeah, and that was quite fun. That's why I met at that festival, I met more the farm brewers,
Okay. And was it also already in the square there?
It was in the square. It was 2013. So that was their third beer festival. She invited me in, and then it was, I brought in some of my suppliers and people, and Natalie's super organized. So everything was, the vision was already there. The legacy we know today, it was already there. And then after that festival, it was literally Natalie, and then we're like, Johan, you need to do this in Pretoria and then that sparked a little flame,
Yeah. And your first one was when?
It was that same year, 2013. It was in July.
Okay.
We pulled it together. Actually, I wanted to do a beer festival in Pretoria. And then I approached my business partners today, which is Neil, Henk and Willie. We had done many events, me and Henk and Willie were doing like things at Hotbox. They had like a house. There was a grandmother's house. We were doing crazy parties there. But anyway, we were all doing a lot of events together and we kind of broke up for a while. And then this was kind of like the reunion,
Okay.
And then it was just one of those reunions that now it's a long-term relationship, I think it's serious now,
It's a family.
Now we all have kids, like when we did the first Beer Fest 2013, we were still, Henk was like 20, I think he was 21.
Yeah.
I was 20 or 22, I was 26. We were very naive.
Where did you have it?
It was originally at the Voortrekker Monument.
Okay.
Yes.
And then when did it move to the Botanical Gardens?
We were at the Pretoria Monument for 3 years, I think. We started slow. The thing we always said was we don't want to go big too fast because then you like burn your fingers and people have a bad experience. And that time there were so many people were doing beer festivals, but a lot of them were like flops. So it was very yet to be. So we literally just said, you know what, let's keep it at 2,500 people. We sold out the first year. Then the second year we said, okay, let's make it 4,000 people. Then we sold out. Then the third year we went to 5.5, but then the venue got too small. So that's when we decided, okay, maybe it's time for us to move to another venue to allow the event to just, because this year is the first Capital Craft Beer Fest where we won't be showing a growth in attendance. But the reason for that is because of the regulations in place.
Okay.
So it's all right. We'll take it. At least we're a bit rusty, so maybe we should just put the practice wheels back on again,
Yeah.
No, we over the moon excited for the Beer Fest coming up next week. It's been we love the festival. We love doing festivals, and we've this year we've redone all our flags. We've redone so many of our decor elements. To explain the Beer Fest, the magnitude of it, like the previous one, the last one we did was just over 11,000 people. We literally have a 12-meter container that is our entire festival kit is in there, and it parks on a farm. And when it's Beer Fest, a truck goes, loads this 12-meter container, drives it to the gardens, unpacks it. We open the doors, we pull out all the flag poles and the bunting and equipment and office equipment, everything, and then after everything is out of this container and all the decor and all of it, then all that's left is these built-in tables, and then it becomes our production office. Anyone that's at Capital Craft Beer Fest that sees me there wants a tour of the production office is welcome to come see. So this is the first time we got the container coming out to a venue again.
So how many people are you expecting? 11,000.
We've been approved by City of Tshwane for I'm going to say a very acceptable amount of people. So it's going to be a good one. Okay. It's going to be fun. If I look at the ticket sales, how it's going, it's definitely going to be sold out. So we're excited for that. We're excited to just for it's just a nice happy ending, But we're just excited to have Pretoria out again, watching the music. We're doing 3 stages again. We've got the main stage is Karen Zoid and A King and not A King, Bongiziwe Mabandla. Then we got the second stage where we're having A King and Dan Peklansky and Bad Peter. And then we got the forest stage where we're doing Cantina Brass. It's like a 30-piece brass band from Pretoria, and they just got their own stage,
Okay, where did you find them? I mean,
they're from Pretoria. In Pretoria, there's a lot of orchestra groups or music groups or choirs.
That sounds fantastic. And I mean, a lot of these bands, obviously you've worked with them for many, many years. And you've tell us about the relationships you have with all these crazy artists.
The bands are good. We love our relationship with the bands. It was fun because look, we come from a music background, so we always said we want the festival to be about beer, about music, and about food. So those are the three things we have at the beer fest. You know, beer, music, food. Like when we book the food, we don't book 10 burger stands. We book one burger stand, one stand for dessert, that's waffles, one stand doing smoked meats, one stand doing let's say Malaysian food. So it's literally because people come and they don't eat once, they eat like 2-3 times in the day. Everything is well curated. You know, everything is made that people can just come and really just enjoy themselves. We host the festival always the day before Father's Day, so it's a good excuse to bring dad out, you know. He's not going to complain. I'm looking forward to the festival the most because I'm obviously the festival director for the festival. So my job starts already the day after the festival. And then I work the whole year and get everything in place. And then on the day, I work up to about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then I plug my earpiece out my ear. I switch off my radio. And then I start brewer stand number 1. Let's drink some beer.
Yeah.
And then I move number 2, number 3, number 4. And then I just go all the way around. And then normally I actually hitch a ride to the restaurant with one of the brewers, you know.
And how many brewers are there this year?
This year we got 30. Normally we obviously do about 40. But obviously we work on a ratio. It doesn't help. We overbook on brewers and everyone is just standing around there doing a marketing size. It's got to be fun for the brewer, it's got to be fun for the customer, and it's got to be fun for us. So this way, everyone is having a good time. I think the brewers are going to spin a little bit. I think we're all going to spin a bit. It's our first proper festival. I think even the consumer is going to spin a little bit. but like to understand like the beer festival, literally we have MTN brings in like towers for signal, so we have enough signal for the card machines. You know, FMB brings ATMs, Capitec brings ATMs. You know, we have the police there. We have ambulances. It's crazy all the planning that goes into it. You know, Gautrain is involved this year in a very good way. So we got free buses from the Gautrain station straight to the festival. So anyone coming from Joburg or Centurion, you just get on the Gautrain. The bus is there ready to take you to the festival. I've always liked when you go to international festivals where you always feel like you don't feel it's only sponsors, you feel the community's involved. You feel like you see the universities involved. Like this year we've got the Tux Microbrewery. They're going to be brewing a live brew next to the Brewcraft stand. And then I've also got a lot of their members helping out on some of the brewer stands. Okay. So the university's there. You know, the TUT eventing department, you know, their students are the parking monitors and the gate management and the mug packers. You know, they all involve first-year students that are studying to be event organizers. They're all there, you know. Then we've got Clamber Club, who does like the kids area, and they like the local kids area provider. And then Gautrain's involved, and, you know, the police, Silverton Police, always do a good job to assist as much as possible. You know, everyone, the city of Tshwane, everyone just wants people to go out, have a good time, and to make you know, the Tshwane region a place to be proud of, you know. The capital city, Pretoria, you know.
Besides Capital Craft, what is the craft beer scene like? You've got some of the oldest brewers.
Pretoria's got, obviously we got Draymond's.
Yeah.
I'm sure Draymond's is number 2 or number 3 oldest still active microbrewery. And then we have obviously some new guys like, let's say, Fry's Habit, which they run a small little brewery out of Silverton, but they're selling a lot of beer at Capital Craft.
Okay.
And a lot of awesome beer. And then there's obviously, I was today even at Hazeldean, you know, they're like months away from opening up. It's looking amazing. That's going to be a huge win for Pretoria to finally have a brewery that's almost like a new kind of brewery setup for Pretoria. That's a really a big one. And then another good one, it's not in Pretoria, but is Binary Brewery. That's just outside Harties, all the Albie and Jakes. They finally got their license and they're busy moving and doing stuff, which has been really great. We've had a couple of their beers on tap. and they will be at the Capital Craft Beer Festival as well.
And you talk about Albi, so I found another brewery in Pretoria is there at the Labora Yard.
Yes.
So that's where I was just looking it up. Albi was there yesterday. Can always rely on
that's
it.
in Centurion.
Yeah.
One thing I must say about Pretoria and about Joburg is the home brewing club, the Warthogs. There's a lot of excellent, amazing home brewers. And that normally is a good sign. The fact that the Tux Microbrewery is suddenly very active again and it's climbing means that the Warthogs is now automatically, there's new generation students going to Warthogs. And then when you look again, there's, at the moment, because small scale brewing has become again so popular, nothing is stopping a home brewer to go do under license a 500 liter batch or a 300 liter batch and to try his luck and see if people are actually going to buy it. Maybe that's the tip I'm going to give people that want to start a brewery. I'm going to say, when you have your recipe, first go do one contract brew of your recipe and then first see if you're able to sell beer. Because if you can't sell that first 500 liters, then I'm saving you a lot of money before you now go do the licensing and buy a brewery. And
yeah, if you think how long Marius contract brewed.
Exactly.
So my background is obviously German Beer Fest. Did you ever attend the famous festivals at the German school?
The Pretoria German School Festival is obviously it's one. I still go. I love it. It's one that you grow up with that festival. It's what's nice is it's a German festival. So you go, you want to eat your Eisbein, you drink Weiss beer. There's always a bands that they fly in from Germany, and it's awesome because you get to experience the German way of beer. It's always and it's family orientated, and there's kids running around everywhere, and it's always good fun.
Slightly different, I guess. And when did you start the academy?
So we after the first beer fest, we always wanted to, me and Valley, after Hotbox had closed, we'd come together once a year and we'd be like, oh, we found this spot, maybe we should do a bar there or a club or something. And then of the first beer fest, it was such a huge success for us. People really freaking loved it and enjoyed the beer, and it was so fun that we were like, no, we have to do this now. It's now or never. We need to open a place. And then all of us had kind of been saving money by ourselves individually for when one day this opportunity came. And then I always say our parents knew what we did. Is that we ended up going to we went to a few places and the landlords just kind of laughed at us. And then we went to the center we are now, and I think and then we chose the biggest space they got. Or just two spaces. We said we want both the spaces. We want to make a hole. We want to break the middle wall out. And then we signed a lease that I don't know how we did that. I think that was actually probably the stupidest thing we ever did. Was sign that lease. Because if this restaurant didn't open its doors, or if we didn't, if it flopped, we would have been. At least we had nothing to lose, but we would have been pretty broke, with nothing. We would have been like fishermen, lost at sea,
Lost at sea, yeah.
But the landlords will find you even there,
They will find you, yeah. And how long did it take to open that restaurant, licensing and all that jazz?
We signed the lease literally 1st of January 2014, and then it took maybe 6 months. We opened up. We had the beer fest. Then we moved the beer fest to June, because July was obviously deep winter. And then we opened up the beer. We did the beer fest, and the license landed the week before the beer fest. And we're like, no way, finally. Because anyone that's ever opened up a restaurant knows the excitement. You sign the lease, you start building, and you're like, yeah, this is awesome, it's exciting, and you're building, and now you finish building, and you're like, okay, but now we need still our license. And you're like, wait. And then you're like, okay, maybe we should paint this green wall. Maybe we should make it blue. Then you start doubting yourself. But anyway, and then we were like at the beer fest, we're like, okay, great. We did the beer fest, and literally the week of the beer fest, we opened up the restaurant. We didn't even have, we made, it sounds like a lot of money, but we built that entire restaurant with R1,000,000.
Yeah.
Like, we literally went in there with our own hands and we built that thing. The kitchen was still in there, but it was like all this broken stuff from the previous restaurant owner. And then we told the landlord, we're like, we'll buy all of it for 20,000 Rand or 30,000 Rand or something. They're like, okay, you can. But it was all broken and messed. And then we literally just opened up, and every week, like, money would come in, and then we'd just buy a new fridge. Then money would come in, we'd buy finish the cold room, finish this, buy a new deep fryer, and then it just carried on. Eh?
And how did you know what to do?
We, at least from eventing, anyone that's listening to this that is an event organizer or does it as a profession knows that event organizer's job is literally just, you plan as much as you can to a point, and then after that, you just solve problems.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's it.
That's how you did it.
That's how you did it,
Yeah.
That's event organizing 101,
Yeah, okay. And at that time, was Beer House open already?
Beer House was open. I think they opened the same time that we hosted our first festival.
Okay.
So that was really like anyone that was involved in the industry in 2012 will know that was an exciting time. It was most of the beers were terrible, but we still drank it, and we just said, this is craft beer. It's awesome, and it was just, there was so much excitement, and there was so much, because it was this new industry, you were meeting new people every day. People just like you excited, it was like, it was like how excited people get about Bitcoin. It was like more exciting than that.
That's a wonderful analogy. How many beers did you have to start off? Were there quite a few brewers by then?
Yes, when we started. No, there was quite a lot. Well, I've got here your book, which is published 2014. So the fact that in 2014 there was already a full book of beer, it shows how exciting period that was.
Yeah.
So that time it was quite cool. We started with we had 12 taps.
Okay.
The week we opened, we had like 50 beers, and then the week after that, we had like 60 beers, and the week after that, we had like 70 beers, and then it just kept climbing and climbing and climbing, and then it went up to almost 300 beers. Then it went a bit down again, and then now I've kind of just balanced it where we're floating always between 200 and 230 beers. The big solution we found was just pretty much because I like to just phone around and order beer, and then it arrives at the shop, and PJ, my manager there, what a legend, he knows, like, he'll see a beer arrive in the shop and he'll know, no, this is not ours, send it back, or look at it and go like, okay, Johan ordered this, put it in, And so we have literally in the shop, we have a printer that prints our menu, folds it, and then staples it into a book. And then this menu, changes every week, sometimes even twice a week. It changes,
That must be satisfying.
It's literally, it just carries on and on and on. I've brought it down to 200 again, so I can stock it up again to 220 before the beer fest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a wonderful story. You also, I don't want to stop talking about Capital Craft because it's such a wonderful place, But you also started other things. You started the African Beer Emporium.
African Beer Emporium is a venue we started in town in Pretoria. It was actually city property. That's like they own most of the buildings in town. They were starting like a kind of a precinct that they call 012 Central, and they had like a really great vision for this area. And we were like, this is amazing. So we first thought, okay, let's make a restaurant, African Beer Emporium in town. Then we started there. And then there was issues with the building plans of the actual precinct. And then our license took very long. It took like 2 years almost before we actually got the license. So in the end, we actually started trading more like as events, because then we started getting like temporary licenses. And then in the end, that venue actually became in the end more of an eventing venue. And it's like, it's amazing. It's like we still have that venue. It's such an awesome venue. We have such a good team there with Victor and Alan and everybody there. And we host events with like with homecoming events. There's an event Fontaine, which is every first Sunday of the month, and then with Transmixol, we do Transmixol sessions. Every Thursday, this is my personal favorite event there. We have Black Labone. So it's like literally, it's just live music. So it's mostly jazz students from the TUT jazz departments and people living in town, but they come and they play. But this event has become, it's probably for me the highlight in anyone that likes music. If you go to Black Labone, you walk away and you feel like you were just now at like a secret party in Brooklyn, New York. And you can't believe what you just saw and wow, what you just experienced and all the people you met. And it's unreal. People won't even believe me now. Yeah. When they go to it, you literally, if anyone that hears this now wants to go, let me know and I'll take you. You will love it.
And who's the creative guy? Who comes up with names like Fontaine?
Fontaine was actually Henk. He's my business partner. I'm going to give it to him. He coined that name good. He came with that name. He also came with the name Capital Craft, funny enough.
Okay.
And Henk's actually he's been very lucky with the names. When it comes to the names, he's just hitting those home runs,
And then during lockdown, you started Easy Agency.
So we have a holding company called Acme Holding Company, like the Looney Tunes. But it's just our holding company. So this company owns obviously Paul Acoustics, which is our oldest brand that we have, 12 years this year. And then it owns the restaurant, African Beer Emporium, other event, Lentedag, and a bunch of other things. And then we said, in lockdown, we were like, yes, but we're doing so much consulting work and we're being asked out to do so many random things because people don't know anything about, they'll be like, we're doing an event or something, do you know a guy that does this or that? And then we said, yes, but we've always been doing consulting work for corporate people. And we thought, let's just give it a name. Let's just call it Easy Agency. And we traded under that. So for instance, in lockdown, we did the live stream host for Garden Day UK out of my living room in Pretoria. I mean, we had Roald Dahl's daughter read a piece. The worst part was then someone hacked into the stream and drew a dick on the screen while she was reading. It was terrible. But anyway, so we've always said, we always know someone that can do something. So we always like to connect the dots. So even, for instance, another example is for the mines. When lockdown started, before lockdown started, they were considering like, yes, but the mines can't stop. This was now 2020, the mines can't stop. So we had to do like a feasibility study to see, would it be feasible to set up like camps at the mines, and then they live in isolation, the miners, in these camps and keep mining. But the terrains were so harsh, it was never going to work. So when the president when he said it's lockdown and we're closing the mines, we understood exactly that, this is obviously very serious. And then what else did we do? Yes, we do COVID testing. Yeah, we do COVID testing. We've done a lot of COVID testing, even for SAB, for their like corporate meetings and things. Then they have like national meetings all over the place, and then we fly a team out to Durban, to Cape Town. We test the guys, and they can carry on with their work.
You come up with a lot of things, eh?
It's hard to say no. We're just these yes guys.
Yeah, Johan, let's talk a little bit about beer. What tips have you got for, let's say, new brewers, and then also, I guess, people that know how to brew but don't really know how to do branding and selling?
Okay, firstly, let's say people that know how to brew but don't know how to do branding and selling. I think sometimes selling obviously is very important. Branding, I feel sometimes What I always like about craft beer is that everyone's branding does not look the same. You have these odd brandings. If you put in our Kennel Brewery next to Draymond's Brewery, it's worlds apart, but both of them have their own charm and their own piece of history. But I did a talk about this at Africa Brew 2 years ago. Sales, how do we say it? Okay, with sales, I always say to the brewers, okay, I said the brewers, it's very important to find in your area already the restaurants that you like going to. If you're going to start, you're always going to Lucky Rodrigo's, that's your local. Try get your beer into Lucky Rodrigo's, because then you're going to be going to Lucky Rodrigo's, drinking your beer there as well, introducing people to your beer there, and your beer is going to do well at Lucky Rodrigo's. And then do kind of your area around you, like, let's say the restaurants. Like, a lot of brewers will put beer into places, but they won't go actually support these places again. And then they can't understand why the beer doesn't sell there. But in the end, if a brewer is actually going to the restaurant, it means the waiters are starting to learn his name, and they're starting to learn. They see now, let's say I'm the brewer, Johan. I'm going to the restaurant. Now I say hello to the waiters. They know, oh, there's Johan again. Johan is brewing from Capital Beer, and we know him, and Johan's always having a conversation to us about his beer. Now when a customer's again in the shop and you're not there, but they know Johan, they feel confident to sell my beer. They are like, no, we're going to sell Johan's beer. We like Johan. He's cool, and the waiters are going to push it. And then I think Olga, it's a very vague question. There's a lot of things. Let's take it back. Let's say for a starting out brewer, you're starting out to brew. A lot of times I've had a lot of meetings where guys will come see me and they'll say, okay, they're starting a brewery. And I'll say, okay, awesome. What's your goal? Now our goal is to take down SAB. Like, okay, that's a big goal. Firstly, I don't think they're the bad guy. Secondly, I think you could dream big, but make that maybe your long-term goal. But what's your goal now? What's your expectation? So guys will come and they'll buy a brewery, but they buy already a brewery that takes, it's a 1,000-liter system. But they're now building a brewery that can take 1,000 liters. Now they have to brew 1,000 liters, but they don't even know how to sell 1,000 liters. They don't even have enough customers to sell 1,000 liters. So I always say, start small, start literally 50 liters and start bottling that. And even 50 liters is low. Now you see you can't keep up with 50 liters, then go buy 200 liters. Then you go, okay, 200 liters is working. Now buy another 200 liters so that you can do 200 liter. And then go on and grow naturally. Because what a mistake a lot of guys made was they go and buy all this equipment and they prepare for this really big brewery. And then they don't even reach in the end 5% of their capacity. And then they actually go bust before they even start getting known, which is sad, because then you see these guys starting up and you see how it's starting to pick up, but you can see the guys just can't maintain it. I think maybe lockdown and COVID was a good thing, because it changed the way a lot of people did business. Everyone now is doing business on a small scale, and you're rather being sold out before rather than sitting with extra beer, and you're building up naturally again. So what I'm seeing now is I'm seeing a lot of brewers the guys who made it through the lockdown were the guys that were actually small, and they were happy to be small. And they kept pushing it like that. And now, because they were happy being small, they weren't stressing too much during lockdowns. They were actually enjoying themselves. And it was actually fun to drink their beers, and they were promoting their beers and enjoying it and not stressing too much. And now they've actually built up these big followings that after COVID, there's now all these new brewers who are doing awesome stuff. I wish I could have a festival with 100 brewers, but I can't. But there's so many guys that are doing just awesome things.
How do the imported beers do at Capital Craft?
We a venue that people come to us because we like the beer Mecca for Pretoria. So they come to us, and people already come to us, and it's already someone that likes beer. So one thing about Belgian beer is you're paying maybe more for it, but it's brilliant beer. It's beer that comes with stories that are 200-300 years old. It's breweries that have, they've gone through world wars. They've gone through mega recessions. Some of them have even gone through plagues. This is not their first pandemic. So for me, the Belgian beers are awesome. Like, I really enjoy them. Like, even at Capital Craft, we've got La Trappe on tap. We've got Palm on tap. And we obviously have the commercial beers like Left and Harden on tap. And then we got Rodenbach on tap as well. And then the beers in the fridge do well. I think the Belgian beers were fortunate enough to make it through. The importers kept bringing them in. Belgian Beer Company and Belge SA, both of them are doing excellent things and were able to manage their stock and have very good relationships with their customers. So fortunately, those beers kept. I think a lot of the UK beers fell off the wagon locally, which is a bit sad. I always used to stock, Youngs and Fillers and Youngs and Wells, and it was fun to stock that stuff. The London Porter was always a good one, and Brewdog was obviously coming in mass supply. We used to stock them from an early stage already, and it was awesome, and it was cool having those beers, and then obviously a lot of them aren't coming in, but I'm sure they will start coming in again very soon. There's always a supplier that wants to try something new and bring something in, and also, in the world, things will become back to normal. People will be back on the normal volumes again. I think what's probably going to affect us the most with beer from Europe is probably actually the war in Ukraine. There's already a lot of breweries and things starting to struggle on that side because of the Ukraine war. I think we don't realize the big impact that has on them. So probably we will see some shortages on things because the brands there have taken a knock.
I suppose we've always had German beer in South Africa, so it wasn't such a big excitement to, as compared to the Belgian beers. Pretoria has always been a big supporter of German beers.
No, German beers flies in our restaurant. I think it's true because Weissbier in Pretoria does have a big German population as well. But it is nice now. If you think, before you couldn't get Dunkels, you couldn't get Hofbrauhaus as well, and it was normally you were lucky if you found Erdinger. Now it's like Erdinger, Polana, Hofbrau. There's so many of them going around, and we have Erdinger on tap, and it's not like my 4th or 5th best-selling beer on tap, which is mental. It's people are drinking it, and a lot of it. And obviously German beer culture is awesome. It's just having a good time, eating food, drinking beer. Yeah. and family is welcome.
Family's welcome. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Hey? You've got so much eventing experience. I think we should organize a trip to Belgium and Germany and just go on a beer tour.
Definitely. I think we can do it we can do like a 3-year road trip. Trevor can join us.
Yeah, Trevor can join us once he's retired. Where can people find you online?
The Beer Fest is Capital Craft. They can just go to capitalcraft.co.za. On there you'll find links to all our social media and all our things. And then they can find me normally in the cold room at Capital Craft having tequilas.
Thank you for listening to our stories here online. In the show notes, you will also find a link where you can subscribe to become part of our community and be notified when we upload our latest content.